Hey folks, Heather Carter here from Nature Hills Farm, and today I am going to show you how to divide your tomato plants effectively. And I've already showed you cabbage and kale and dividing them and putting them into 4-inch cells, but I'm actually just going to keep these in 6-inch cells. And the reason that I am is because it's not quite time to put them in the ground yet, and so this specific variety of plant I have grown to go outside, not in my hoop house, and so I still have a couple months before I'm going to put this in the ground so they can grow slower in a 6-inch cell. So we're going to go ahead and get started, and I'm just going to walk you through this. You can see I've just got those 6-inch cells, and I've told you before, but I always plant more than one seed in my 6-inch cells to begin with under the lights, just so I get a good germination, and then I'm able to transplant later. So you can see, I got 4 seeds here, and I'm just gently going to pull these apart, trying to keep as much root on them as I can, and just gently do it so that the roots aren't actually tearing. They're not super root bound, so this isn't too hard to do. And I'm just really carefully doing that, and you can see the roots here. Okay, so now, because here's my trick here. I'm going to take out a lot of this soil. I'm just going to leave a tiny bit of soil in the bottom, but you can see how lanky these are. This happens when your growing starts, and then this is the not the true leaf. This is the first leaf, the baby leaf, and this doesn't matter. We can pinch this off or bury it. But you can see here, these are the true leaves. They look like the tomato. So what I do when I'm transplanting is all of this will get roots on it. So I actually just plant my plant in my cell like this, like so that all that's showing is the very top of the plant. And you can see that here. I'm just going to put that in, and then I'm going to cover it up with the soil. So this is a little trick that I even do when I'm planting in the ground. I actually plant all the way to the bottom of the true leaf. Okay? So, I'm going to show you that again. Okay? I've got my plant. I just kind of turn it and put this down in the cell. Now this is something I have always done in order to get a stronger stem on my plants. And you can see a difference here. Now my plant is just right there, tiny, instead of all of this out, and it kind of gets wobbly and such. Okay? So again, I just turn it. This one doesn't have as much root as these others, but they'll be okay. And that's why we do this. If it's not going to be a strong plant, we want it to die now and not later when it's in the field. And then I have to go back and replace those plants in the field. I want really good, strong plants before I put them in the field. Okay? Maybe a little more soil on this one. Okay, and then I have another trick. And this is something that I do with all of my tomato plants, and it makes such a huge difference. I actually fertilize them with magnesium, which is Epsom salts. So I will take and sprinkle a little bit of Epsom salt in by each plant here, and it is amazing how much growth you get when you use the Epsom salts. So I'm gonna keep doing this. I'll thin out these over here, so these will all go into their own separate cell, and they won't be in the 4-inch cells, but they will have their own cell in a 6-pack, and they can continue to grow. I'm going to fertilize them with some Epsom salts, which is totally natural and organic, and that's how we plant. And then in a couple weeks I'll show you just how much growth has happened from these tomato plants that were tight in 6-inch cells, now separated into their own cell. And Eventually, I may put them in a 4-inch cell, depending on the timing for them being planted into the ground and how much they've grown and if they're totally root bound and outgrowing this cell. But it also depends on how much time I have and if it's worth the effort to put them in, transplant them into a 4-inch cell versus just transplanting them into the ground. So stay tuned, more to come your way.